large the pandemic aid package should be.
Not bailout to the blue cities and blue states, giving a stimulus check to every single illegal immigrant in the country. That absurd wish list that Schumer and Pelosi sent to McConnell last week, that's not going to happen regardless of the vaccine.
The key to finally making progress may come down to Biden's relationship with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Georgia's largest county will resume its recount of votes in the presidential election tomorrow morning.
Fulton County began the process Wednesday at the Georgia World Congress Center. The recount is being done using high-speed scanners, which read and tabulate the votes in accordance with the state election board rule.
We're a little over 5 weeks away from the January Senate runoffs, but Thanksgiving gave all four candidates a little break from the campaign trail.
Well, if you're hoping to get a second stimulus check that should have been out months ago, and unemployment money that you should have gotten months ago, well, they're running out of time this year. Thanks to the Democrats, who have added all kinds of pork. That's what it's called, pork. You can thank Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and all the rest of those Democrats in Congress. They're the ones that they want more. They want to have states bailed out. Well, they aren't doing their citizens any favors by not capitulate and negotiate and get rid of the pork. Because that's the only way it's going to happen.
300,000 U.S. troops deployed overseas. Acting Defense Secretary Chris Miller, a former Green Beret, flew to the Middle East and had Thanksgiving dinner with some of the 4,000 troops in Bahrain, home to the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet. The U.S. is reducing its presence in Afghanistan by half, but 2,500 American troops will remain after January 15th. The U.S. has 800 military bases in more than 70 countries, a growing phalanx of American drone bases in places like Djibouti in the Horn of Africa. 60,000 American troops serve at bases in the Middle East. 1,000 in Brussels at NATO headquarters. Nearly 1,000 troops in Cuba to guard 40 prisoners at Guantanamo Bay. 34,000 U.S. troops currently serve in Germany. More than 50,000 American troops are based in Japan, along with 28,500 in South Korea. The outgoing top Republican on the House Armed Services Committee explains what would happen if the U.S. closed those bases and returned home.
It's been the best 70 years, pretty much, you could argue, in human existence. And it's partly because the United States of America has been engaged in the world. If we step back, others fill the void. They will not share our values. The world will suffer.
So what does this cost the U.S. taxpayer? According to the Rand Corporation, U.S. taxpayers pay an annual average of $10,000 to $40,000 more per year to station a member of the military abroad than in the United States. But that's not the real cost. Today, we thank those troops overseas and their families for all they sacrifice to keep Americans safe. At the Pentagon, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
Striking a balance.
I fully respect religion, and if there's a time in life when we need it, the time is now. But we want to make sure we keep people safe at the same time.
Meanwhile, cases surpassing 12.5 million nationwide, and a new estimate from the CDC finds cases may actually be 8 times higher than reported. The agency saying there may have been as many as 53 million infections in the U.S. at the end of September.
I think we're going to see a series of rolling increases. The trend is not a good trend. People need to take this thing very seriously.
And with the holiday shopping season kicking off, the CDC recommends against going to
2 separate locations. Dozens of items were taken from several cars. Well, deputies say they executed a search warrant on a car rented by one of the suspects and found the stolen items. Those items include several silver coins and preloaded gift cards. For the first time since the election on November 3rd, the president continued to push that the election was, quote, rigged, and when asked if he would formally concede to President-elect Joe Biden, things got testy.
The numbers are false. The numbers are corrupt. It was a rigged election, 100%. It's going to be a very hard thing to concede because we know there was massive fraud.
The president says he will continue to challenge the election results on the road. He's heading here to Georgia this weekend to campaign for the Republican candidates in our Senate runoff elections. A Democratic U.S. Senate candidate took time